why you can't resolve conflicts with narcissistic, abusive, or unhealthy people. So the reality is they're not actually in conflict with you. They're using you as a scapegoat for their own internal conflicts. So how this shows up in narcissistic or abusive dynamics, if you're one of the people that is in those dynamics or struggles with this, I used to struggle with it. I've been in 2 narcissistic relationships that I had to rebuild myself so that I would stop getting with unhealthy people. But basically, you've probably experienced, like, the conflict never ends. You're trying to resolve things that you can't ever seem to reach a resolution. And we can come up with all these reasons of why we can't reach a resolution. They're avoidant, they don't want to talk about it, they don't have self-awareness, whatever. But those are irrelevant. The real problem why you can't resolve conflicts with them is because the conflict has nothing to do with you, right? Whatever they're saying to you, however they're treating you, it has nothing to do with you. It's their own internal conflicts that create illusion, right? So there's 2 ways that we can deal with conflict, and I'm going to share a little bit about the law of 3 to explain this to you. So with conflict, there's an active force, desire, and a passive force, which is resistance, or what denies the desire, okay? So in order to resolve, so it's mirrored. Okay, active, passive, reconciling, okay? So in order to resolve the conflict, you have to find the reconciling force, okay? What narcissistic or abusive people do is they never look for the reconciling force. They always choose the illusion, which is going to be under here. Conflict creates illusion because they're never seeing the higher perspective, okay? With the law of 3. So what happens is when these people went through trauma, it fragmented their energetic self. It fragmented their energetic body, which creates conflict. So if you could to visualize this, it's like there's different parts of them that exist in their energetic body that all want different things. It's like one might want safety, one might want connection, one might want protection, and then their definitions of safety, protection, connection are all over the place because there's no integrated whole self-concept or sense of self because of trauma, right? And so these people who live in illusion, right, when they're in conflict with you, they're perpetuating their cycle of illusion and their cycle of non-growth by scapegoating you as the cause of their conflicts inside, okay? So I'm gonna give you an example of how this actually works, like inside their mind. So it's like, let's see, because there's a lot of, so I'm trying to think of like an example. Okay, yeah. So the illusion is what creates their like bursts of conflict to you that they project onto you, and like they're just like pulling you into their own conflict, and then you accept it and try to fix them or try and fix the conflict without realizing that has nothing to do with you and you can't fix it because it's not about you, and you're not even really in conflict with them. They're in conflict with themselves and you're participating in it, okay? So an example of this would be, let's say someone has a belief that they are a good person, okay? So it's like, I'm a good person. But then they hurt you, right? So there's a conflict between these 2 beliefs. If they believe a good person means never hurting anyone, I'm a good person, but I hurt you, right? So this creates a conflict, right? And instead of them realizing like, hey, like sometimes good people hurt people, or sometimes, or like reflecting and looking into why they hurt you, knowing that they're still a good person, with this conflict, right? they choose an illusion instead. They choose something else to believe. So it's like, I'm a good person, but I hurt you. So then they tell themselves, I never hurt you. Or you deserved it. So it's this illusion, right? Or it's like, you caused it. Right? So then they've convinced themselves now that after they hurt you, instead of choosing any higher force or reconciliation of their own inner conflict, they've now blamed you as the scapegoat. You deserved it. You caused it. All this, right? And so this creates like a perpetuating of the cycle in the way that, like, this is their way of relating with life. When they're in conflict inside themselves, when they're faced with an opportunity to grow and become a better version of themselves, instead of choosing growth, they choose illusion. And they live in this illusion, which creates all these stories in their mind. And it's all to resolve their conflict, right? But it doesn't actually ever resolve their conflict. And deep down, if you observe their behavior from like a objective viewpoint, you can kind of see, like, they're never really satisfied with the way that they're living because they're not actually growing or resolving anything. And if they are growing, it's at a really slow pace because they don't really have like a goal, or they're growing into being better at living in illusion, right? So I've experienced this in my life where I was a victim of a young abusive individual, and that relationship was more enjoyable. And it was more like easy to see that he was abusive, right? And then I was in a relationship with an older abusive individual. And this guy, he was really good at manipulating, really good at creating these illusions for himself and to illusions to manipulate me. He was really good at it, right? So it's like, instead of growing to higher levels of consciousness, being a better person, they just grow into illusion, and it makes their illusions even stronger. And then it perpetuates itself because, like, when they convince themselves that you deserved it and you caused it, now it's like they have even more reason to be abusive or start more conflict with you and pull you further into their own illusions, right? And so with this, let me see. Oh, okay, so this is cool. So we can go into like the energetics of like how they grow and how they create, and like from like a creational perspective. So when I talk about creation, what I'm saying is like how you grow to create your reality. So in order to like grow, you have, okay, no. So okay, so with all of this internal chaos that they have, all of these internal conflicts that they have, conflicting beliefs, conflicting thoughts, conflicting desires, conflicting goals, their self is chaotic, right? And so what this manifests as, like, that you can observe, is that their intentions and goals change depending on their circumstances, their moods, their emotions, or thoughts. So that's why from the outside perspective, you know, abusive people's behavior looks so erratic, because they're changing, their self is dependent on their emotions, their however they're feeling in the moment, right? So it's like, it's literal complete chaos. Like, the definition of chaos is complete disorder and confusion. It's completely disordered, right? And so the creation of the reality then becomes chaotic, because every choice they're making doesn't have a common goal, common intention. They don't even know themselves. So then the creation of their reality is literally chaos. It's literally like, it's chaos. It's chaos, right? And so this means that their like core desire, their core self, becomes conflict, right? Because there's no clear intention, clear goal, clear self to move towards anything, their goal in life is conflict. It's literally their goal. Their goal becomes conflict. And I think that's a pretty awesome way to think about it, because it's like, this is why you can't resolve the conflicts, because their goal is conflict. Because by choosing not to grow and see the higher perspectives, you choose perpetual conflict, which means your life is conflict, which means you're always going to be pulling everyone around you into this conflict. And so this helps you because once you understand this, you can see, like, you can see their behavior when you interact with people like this, like, a lot clearer. Like, it's like, you don't have to take on any guilt, any shame. And, like, this was huge for me, because I was like, there was, like, a situation with two people where, like, one person was, it's kind of complicated. One person was telling me, like, I'm in conflict with another person, and I was just thinking, I was like, it doesn't make sense, because we're not in conflict. Like, what's happening? This doesn't make any sense. I'm, like, confused, right? And so, what I realized is that, hold up, what was I even saying? I lost my train of thought. So what I realized is that I wasn't actually in conflict. It was like this really weird dynamic where, like, this individual is reacting to their own conflict inside themselves and then just, like, involving me in it. And like I said before, scapegoating me in it. And then this looks like conflict on the surface. But from my perspective, I'm like, I haven't done anything. We haven't even had a conversation. There's nothing that we've actually disagreed about. Do you know what I mean? And so, this is like a skill that you learn when you become, like, emotionally mature. You know, it's like, you start to, like, see people's behavior for actually, like, what it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, this actually has nothing to do with me. Whereas, like, before, when I was, like, a victim of domestic violence, I used to think that, like, it was, like, caused by something I did, or, like, it could be fixed, or, like, we could just communicate. And I even had therapists that would say, like, you just need to communicate with this guy better. You just need to communicate better. You cannot communicate better to someone that desires something differently than you. It's like, you want connection, they want conflict. But they don't even know they want conflict, because most of their reality creation is completely unconscious, right? Because they're choosing illusion. They're never self-reflecting. They're never really, like, looking at how to grow and become better. And so this is like a new soul kind of problem. It's like newer souls, they kind of have a limited worldview, like a super limited worldview, where, like, they don't really know that they can access higher states of consciousness because they haven't done it a lot. Whereas with older souls, it's like we've lived past lives where we have accessed extremely high states of consciousness. Like, some of us have, like, been through, like, serious mystery schools and, like, actually done, like, lives of training of the spirituality. So, like, when we come into this life, we know that, like, there are way higher states of consciousness to access. And so we intuitively can kind of move towards those higher states of consciousness. Whereas with new souls, it's very limited. They stay in these lower states of consciousness and illusion because they don't have the, like, consciousness expansion to even understand that there's a way out. It's like the world is like this little box. It's like this little box of smallness, right? And so it's not totally their fault. Like, the world in general is set up to make it harder to, like, raise your consciousness a little bit, especially for, you know, we've all been through a lot, and, like, it is hard to, you know, come out of trauma and, like, be okay, you know what I mean? Like, we all have mental health issues, like, most of us, you know what I mean? And from my experience, like, people who say they don't sometimes have the worst, but anyways, so yeah, so this is why you can't resolve conflicts with people who are desiring conflict, because you desire connection, They're unconsciously creating and desiring conflict because their inner world is chaos, right? And so you don't really have to fix them, because I look at it from this higher perspective of the new souls and old souls. It's like, this is who you are, this is what you're learning. I have who I am and what I'm learning. But if I can understand you, then it kind of like creates peace inside of me. Is what I've been learning, and how I live. It's like, I'm always looking for knowledge, you know what I mean? I always want to understand things on an extremely deep level. And if I don't understand something, I gotta figure it out. And by understanding ourselves, like, first we understand ourselves, then we understand others, it becomes easier to like keep your sense of self when in like communication with these types of unhealthy or abusive people. It's like, it helps you to separate yourself, not only to know yourself, like everyone says, know who you are, that's how you protect yourself. Know who you are and who they are, and then you can protect yourself. And you can easier navigate dynamics with them because you just see the truth. You're just like, oh, that's what's happening. Oh, this is what's going on, right? But I would say, like, I'll give like a disclaimer, like, not to like assume that like everyone you meet is like this, but yeah, I hope this video was helpful for you and clarifying for you. Again, my name is Abigail. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and have a beautiful, magical day.